Season 5 begins here today in our Nashville Sound draft-only franchise here on NBA 2K24. Our team is looking as good as ever, and we're still incredibly young. But to start out this episode, the first thing I wanted to do was just kind of go over every single team in the league and see kind of where they're at. I want to do that again every probably odd season here, just to give every other year an update around the league. Here we've got the San Antonio Spurs, who have Wemby, Giddey, Williams, Wallace, Damian, Paul, Hammond, Kispert, Starks, Collins, Murphy, all at 79 at least. Dante Wright's also at 78. Then a big drop off after that. But this team has a superstar player in Giddey, has a really good number 2, and then just has really good depth. Of course, Sheldon Starks, for my money, by far the best player in the last draft as well. So he, I think, is going to quickly ascend to stardom, most likely here in this franchise. So I think the Spurs are very well set up just based on their age to be one of our main competitors in the West, as we hopefully soon will be making some postseason runs. As we start to go through these teams a little bit, I do want to just quickly pose a question to you guys. It was mentioned a little bit in the Summer League off stream. So the live stream, excuse me, not off stream. It was just whether or not we'll be going through the regular seasons quicker. And I do think I like the value of potentially starting to go through regular seasons quicker. You know, we are a postseason team, and you know, the postseasons are probably going to be long. I mean, we had a game 7 and it took us, 4 episodes to get through that series. And so just to have more of a postseason emphasis on these seasons going forward, I'm thinking about maybe 5 episodes of regular season, and I want to know what you think. Here, a pretty guard heavy top here for the Timberwolves. The Trailblazers here, still very guard heavy as well. Their first power forward or forward in general is in the low 80s here. The Warriors, Steph still kicking it here at 39 years old. Kuminga behind him. They got Devin Livingston. Let's go. Still have him kicking around, but not nearly as much of a threat as they used to be. The Wizards, their best player is Ayton. I'd say this team is very clearly behind us. The Sixers, Joel Embiid certainly past his prime at this point. He's kind of starting to make way for the next generation, which is going to be built around Damian Harvey here, up to an 83 overall with 12 badges. Was the lone pick ahead of Malachi Pope in that draft, and he's coming along nicely. So he and Maxey likely to lead the next generation of Philadelphia basketball. Fox, Thompson, kind of the big duo here. They got a little bit of depth, but not a ton. I'd say the Bucks still not quite a threat to us in the East. The Bulls, we got J.R. Holloway, another number 1 pick in the draft. He's coming along, up to 8 badges for him. He's got a gold badge, and just, we know who he is from his draft, very much so a scorer. Again, a team that I feel like is still kind of stuck in the middle. They got a lot of guys 27 and older, but they're not great. And then they got J.R. Holloway. I think it's time for this team to just start to build around Holloway. Cavs, I think still very good, but not quite what they once were. Garland and Mobley, still a great duo, but they're kind of looking like they've gotten to their peak now at their ages, and just not a very deep team behind them. And so, yeah, tough duo, but I think, our depth on our roster is superior to the Cavs. The Celtics, they're very much so still a threat, I think. Just, again, talking about the top duo. They have 2 good centers as well. Having 2 centers is always good in 2K. Their depth falls off pretty hard as well, though. I think a series against the Celtics would be interesting, because they've kind of got, Lowry's on the level of anybody, but Tatum's just better than anybody else, and their duo and their depth is just a little bit better than Cleveland's, I think. Clippers, they're still building around Brunson and Porter, and it's not going incredibly well. We saw Fletcher and Hernandez in that live stream, and they look like they could take a next step and maybe be the next generation of Clippers basketball, which I think it's probably time for there. Grizzlies still very good in the West. Ja, Jaren Jackson, Bane, that trio still kicking it. Depth behind that is okay. Atlanta Hawks, they're building around 32-year-old Kristaps Porzingis at this point. Still kind of waiting for guys to develop, but I mean, if this isn't the best shooting team in the league, you gotta wonder how that's gonna play out. They literally have one guy who's not in the A's on the entire team. One! That's insanity. Very interesting build here. I kind of am intrigued to play them in a playoff series just to see how all that shooting plays out. The Heat, of course, added SGA, and now they've got themselves a little trio here that could be interesting. I think the Heat have definitely moved up the power rankings with now SGA, Adebayo, and RJ Barrett. Herb Jones, I think, is an excellent fourth. Joshua Barry Carroll, no slouch himself. Kind of lack a power forward. Keita Bates-Diop is their highest overall one. But, you know, you could have even probably Herb Jones play a little bit of power forward and get away with it. So I think they'll be just fine. But yeah, definitely more of a threat than they have been the last couple of years here in this series. The Hornets, I think, are one of our top threats. Ball, Miller, and Mark Williams, although they did lose Tyler Hero. So maybe the Hornets have dropped down a peg here. When they had Hero, I thought they were one of the few teams better than us in the East, but I think we could take on the Hornets and it'd be pretty fun. Jaden Hardy's on this team. Of course, one of my very high draft picks that I was sad to see leave our team early on in the franchise. The Jazz, Wagner and Kessler, D'Angelo Russell. So I think, again, a good duo. I feel like we're seeing a pretty good theme here where there's a lot of good duos here, but not much after them for the most part. This team is going nowhere. Sorry, Kings fans, but this is not great. I do like the future of their front court, though. It's just not quite there yet. The Knicks, another team that I just don't think is playoff caliber. Donovan Mitchell still leads the Lakers. Anthony Davis still there as well. Jalen Hood-Schifino has grown into one of the key players for them. But again, just the depth. I think I need to update these contract sliders because we saw the last of free agency. A lot of these guys could use a lot of those guys available. They're just not signing these guys because they don't have the cap space, I guess. So it just means players are asking for too much. So we need to update some contract sliders. I already had them updated. I wasn't using the base ones by any means, but it looks like I need to update them further, which I will do prior to the next offseason. The Mavericks, definitely a top threat here with Luka and Durant, Capella behind them. And then Dante Lloyd, I like him as a young piece here, but does fall off pretty hard. They only have, what is that, 6 or 7 guys above 75 overall. The Nets, Miles Bridges is their guy here still. Jordan Walsh, 23 years old, has become one of their best players. Don't think they're much of a threat in the East. Denver, Nikola Jokic and Lauri Markkanen, Aaron Gordon. That's a pretty good front court right there. Hard to stop. And then Floyd's also a great shooter. The Pacers, one of our top threats. 2 of their best players are centers. I feel like they probably need to create some sort of trade because their 4 best players play 2 spots. They definitely, I feel like, need some forward help that we gave them that in Patrick Baldwin. Interesting to see how he will fit with this team. I think he'll benefit greatly from a passer like Tyrese Halliburton. The Pelicans here we go. Here's a top 4 that's very competitive here with Williamson, Ingram, DeJounte Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. The Pistons, they're still kicking it. So Giannis, Cade, and Ivy form a trio above 89 overall. Kawhi has continued to fall off, but he's still a really good defender and inside the arc scorer. What's their center situation looking like, though? Absolutely awful. And just their depth in general. Did they lose? They lost, what was his name? I'm forgetting already. Gaines? Clark Gaines? How did they lose him? He's a young guy. That really sucks for them. Clark Gaines was awesome in that playoff series. Placing him in with Derek Brooks isn't the worst thing, but man, they have a very, very top-heavy roster, and that top-heavy roster was very tough for us to stop last season, but I think their depth is even worse than it was last year. The Raptors, Siakam's still kicking it as their best player there. Grady Dick has evolved into their second best player, but not much after that to be excited about with this team. The Rockets, I still think, are one of the very best teams in basketball. Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith, Trae Young, Lynn Montgomery, Cam Whitmore, and Kevin Porter all over 80 overall. 6 players over 80. Another player here right under that at 79. So this team combines, good top end players with really good depth, and so I imagine the Rockets, will be at the top of the West. Another team I really like in the West won the offseason, I think now 3 off seasons ago, or was it just last offseason? No, it was 3 off seasons ago. So, of course, the Sonics, who have their big young 3 here of Green, Barnes, and Şengün. Now, Philip Barrett's becoming a good complement to those guys. Killian Hayes is their point guard, I think. Makes a very intriguing starting 5 and definitely a playoff caliber team. Their depth is okay. Better than some we've seen, worse than others. And now we're back to us. And you compare our team to many of the others, and you really got to like the depth. 5 players at 80 overall plus. Didn't see that a ton. Saw it just recently with the Rockets, but there's not a ton of that around the league. And then also, having 8 guys that are 78 plus is pretty rare. And so still kind of lack the 85 plus, players, the star players in the league, but I think our depth is going to help us here in year 5. Hopefully make a deep playoff run. Now going with the rotation here for year 5. This is like the first year where I think we've really got a bad case of just too many good players, because definitely don't want to take, minutes away from these starters. I mean, Moody you could, but he's already only playing half the game. Don't want to take minutes away from any of these other guys that are obviously key to our future. But I just leaving a guy like Augustine only 12 minutes a game. Or we could make Powers down to 16 and give both of these guys 16 minutes a game. But I'm really intrigued with Powers. I liked what I saw from him in the Summer League. And I want to give him a shot to hit his ceiling potential, which means he just needs to play a lot. Same could be said for Ernest Augustine, though. Like, none of these guys... Honestly, I think every single one of these guys deserves 20 plus minutes a night. But to do that, you gotta make our starters all play 28 minutes. And, these guys are more than 28 minutes a night guys. And so... we're really starting to see maybe that this team could be a product of a little bit too much potential brewing. I mean, AC Stevens is already kind of maxed out, but he's only getting 16. But, he's a good player. He deserves 16. Hudson could still improve. Powers, Augustine, all these guys still need to improve. Davidson as well. I feel like Davidson 80 overall needs probably 24 minutes a game at this point in his career. I mean, we could knock him down. We could give both of these guys 20 and then these 3 16. If you have an idea of what you think the minutes distribution should be, let me know. In terms of the actual timeline, here's what it is. We've got Davidson playing mostly shooting guard, but some small forward off the bench. Powers playing a little bit of both forward spots. Hudson and Stevens and Augustine all having all of their time at one position. And sticking with Pope and Mullins sharing their minutes together, with Lowry and Stevens sharing their minutes together on the starting lineup. But yeah, this is what I'm going with for now. I think there's opportunities to switch it around. My one big gripe is I think Ernest Augustine needs more than 12 minutes a game. But if he ends up being, we don't really need him to reach his potential. You know what I mean? Because what his role on this team is backup power forward. You don't need your backup power forward to hit A- potential. You know what I mean? You need him to be a solid player, grab some rebounds, and hit some easy shots, which I think he can do without having to hit his full potential. So I don't know. The reality is when you have so many players with high potentials, not everybody's going to reach them. So I'd rather have too many than not enough, but we're kind of getting to that point, honestly. Another thing we're going to be experimenting with to start this season is a little bit of slider change. I think games were getting just a little bit too high scoring here. And so we're just going to knock everything down success-wise by 1. So by 2, excuse me. So we're just going to see what that does. And I'm also going to raise shot coverage impact up to 40. Just make actually playing good defense a little bit more valuable there. And so this is what we're going to be rocking with to start the season. We'll see what it does to the scoring of these games. The other thing I wanted to talk about is just the assignment of plays, and we're going to go through this pretty quickly. Everyone else was the exact same as we started last year, and Powers is the only new addition. So here's the plays that we have assigned to him. Initially, I just had kind of more off-ball stuff, but there was a comment on the Summer League stream about maybe giving him some on-ball driving opportunities. So we're going to give him some pick-and-roll ball handler opportunities as well, see how he does with those. But yeah, these are the 4 plays assigned currently to Lamond Powers. So let's get into it on the road here to start Season 5. Going against the Brooklyn Nets. Gave this team a quick preview when we previewed all teams. Definitely a team I think we should beat today. But should beat and will beat are 2 different things. So we got to come out and get it done. And Francis Mullins is going to get the scoring started for the team this year. Couple of dunks to start the game, 1 from each team. Lowry just gets stripped trying to drive it right by Saddiq Bey. You got to be more aware of that. Nets passing it around, and they'll get the 3 to fall. Hope with it. One thing to note is that we are using a new playbook this season, just because we got a new coach, and coaches typically come with their own playbook. That play right there, not a big fan. There was just 3 guys right by each other. Results in a turnover in the end. Don't know if it just wasn't run correctly or if that's just a really bad play. And I will be willing to just go back to the playbook that we had. We were using the Cavs playbook under Coach Gordon. If this playbook ends up being a problem, I'll certainly change it. But want to at least give, the Hawks playbook, which is what Quinn Snyder comes with, a chance here in Season 5. So if you're seeing new plays, that's why. Here we get Mullins whipping it over to Andre Stevens, who missed the shot. Bey awaits the Wiseman screen. Seeing 41 take a screen from 51 is just kind of an odd sight to see, and Saddiq Bey hits the 3. Lowry, some nice dribble moves, then steps into a 3-point shot. That was nice. Very excited to see Sidney Lowry in Season 5. Hard to imagine he could possibly add even more to his game, but I'm hoping that he can. Was obviously already a superstar level player for us last year, all NBA level talent, but always want to see if somebody can take the next step or if they're capped out, and that's one of the things I'm most interested in seeing here in Season 5. Regular season, at least. Good defense there from Malachi Pope. He's going all the way. Nice dribble moves. Ends up missing the floater by Andre the Giant there to clean it up nicely. A ton of space for Lowry, and he makes the Nets pay. We're up 14-10 now. Bridges, way too much space for him as well, and he answers it right back. Malachi steps back for 3, and he's off the mark there. Bey, nicely contested by Andre Stevens, forcing the miss. Nashville going the other way. Sidney Lowry, tough floater over multiple defenders, and he hit it nonetheless. Van Vliet, guarded by Mullins. He's staying right in front and forcing the miss. Good job by the big man on the perimeter. Lowry, that's a tough shot. That's been a couple of tough floaters for Lowry, and he's hit them both. Bay had a man in his face, but hit it anyway. Lowry, a nice reverse layup. There's something I don't think we've seen from him before. We can get just an improved finishing package from Sidney Lowry this year. I would be very, very happy with that as Pope finally gets on the board there. And here he's getting the steal on Van Vliet. Trying to run with it the other way. He dishes it to the wing. Sidney Lowry hits the three, and he has been all over the place in this first quarter, getting his scoring started early. Sadiq Bey has also played really well in this first quarter for Brooklyn. Lowry going inside. Probably should have passed it out to Andre Stevens on that one. Spinning and not finishing. Inside for the Nets. Davidson taking it the other way. Recently checked in. He's taking his first shot of the year. He drains it. 12-17 to start this game is quite good for us. The slightly nerfed sliders not doing much to change what we're doing here. As Lowry hits another shot. Bay. Been leaving him too much space. He's been on a mission here in the first quarter, and the mission is trying to keep the Nets in this one and keeping up with the Sound. Here he is again. This time dishing inside to James Wiseman. A nice pass by Bay. Lowry, tough, leaning mid-range shot. Wiseman, shot clock winding down, just goes right over the top of Andre the Giant. On the other end, Sam Hudson on the cut is rewarded by Sid the Kid. Walsh fires from deep. Missed the shot though. The other way, Sam Hudson just pulling up quickly and draining the mid-range jumper. Brooklyn gets a nice look from the wing. That makes it a three-point ball game. We've got the last shot here of the quarter. Lowry not going to really do much, just kind of fire in the face of the guy. I'd like to have seen him do something there with the last 5-6 seconds there. But we'll take a three-point lead into the second. Starting the quarter with an inside shot from Mullins, but he missed it. Now Malachi Pope with the steal. Trying to go the other way, but can't get by the man. So we'll have to run a play here. Pope ends up pulling up from deep. And he could not get it to go. He's been not doing great with his jumpers in this game, but he's been impactful elsewhere on defense and, of course, with his passing that he's always so good with. And here, maybe a couple of free throws can get him going here in this game. And yeah, unless he misses them, if he's missing his free throws, and they're not going to get him going. Come on, hit one, please. Thank you. We lead by 4. Inside to Bridges. He gets the finish over Davidson. Davidson now gets the screen, fires off of it, but had too much mustard on that attempt. Jump shot there from the mid-range is going to be off. Good defense there. Malachi pulling up in transition. No good. Augustine with the rebound, though. Had Walsh, but gets stripped and then steps out of bounds. Could have been a nice play from Augustine and just got stripped. Mullins doing a nice job hounding Fred Van Vliet and forcing the ugly miss. Really like what I've seen from Pope's defense today. Here he's driving in and finding a man wide open in the corner. That's Ernest Augustine who drains the three. Bridges driving and stepping back for a clean looking jumper. Davidson off screen, wide open for that three-point attempt. Pope on the assist. Van Vliet stepping back, shooting again, and We have been making his night difficult here tonight. Mullins finds Augustine wide open once again, but this time he's gonna miss. Mullins going against Mullins, and he draws a foul. Francis Mullins there, picking up his first. Brooklyn's Mullins is gonna split his free throws. And we're going quickly in transition. Malachi Pope hits the mid-range jump shot. A beautiful entry pass from Francis Mullins going half court there. Davidson pulling up from the elbow, hits the jumper. He's become a really, really good shooter. Brooklyn inside. And that's just right over the top of Ernest Augustine. Not a great look for Ernest there. Mullins free throw line extended, hits the easy jumper. And now we lead by 9. Bridges forced to take a tough jumper with Malachi Pope right in his face, and he missed it. Davidson a much cleaner look on the other end, and it's drained, and we lead by double digits for the first time in this game. Bridges, defended by Davidson, gets to the rim and draws the foul, gets the buckets go along with it. He drained the free throw to make it a complete three-point play. Oh, leaning jumper, no good. Still trying to get that jump shot going in this game. Has been unable to do it so far, and that was an ugly, ugly looking three from Davidson. Wiseman inside, but Mullins was right there to defend him. Down to 4 minutes left here in the half. Pope still trying to get things going from the perimeter and still unable to do so. And Vliet defended by Pope. A beautiful defensive possession there. Powers in transition, goes up top for Ernest Augustine, who slams it down. Now that's how you play transition basketball right there. Nice assist by the rookie. Forcing another miss. Now we're giving it to Francis Mullins on the interior. He turns around and hits the shot. Wiseman versus Mullins. Here Wiseman gets the best of him and forces a Quinn Snyder timeout. Sidney Lowry just checked back in at the timeout. Comes in and instantly drains a three. Picking up where he left off in the first quarter, where he did a lot of the scoring. Here he feeds it to AC Stevens. Would rather him feed it to Moody. Don't want AC Stevens taking that jump shot. Bay, top of the key off the screen. Looked like he tried to bank that one in, almost. Lowry. This time he does find Moody, and that's the result we're looking for. Hey, off a screen, hits the jumper. Need more urgency coming around those screens there. That was way too easy. Lowry going inside, tough finish, he can't make it. Brooklyn on the boards. Down to 20 seconds left. We're leading by 12 here. Looking to extend our lead just a bit more here with one final shot, and it's going to be an AC Stevens three. Really? And our last possessions of both of these quarters have been quite terrible, if I'm being honest. An AC Stevens three. Either way, we'll lead by 12 at half, and here's a little bit of our halftime update. Sadiq Bey and Mikal Bridges carrying the load. Malachi Pope has been hounding Fred VanVleet, 0 of 7. 22 points at the half for Lowry. Davidson with 10. Mullins already has 11 rebounds. Pope already has 10 assists. So while Pope hasn't been shooting well, he's been very impactful in other ways. Also has 2 steals. Liking what I'm seeing from the squad in the first half. Let's get into the second, and we're starting it off with a steal. In transition, we get it to Mullins on the inside, and that officially makes Mullins the first guy on the team this year with a double-double, as he gets it right here at the start of the second half. Lowry through the contact, gets the finish inside. 3-point opportunity is finished off there at the line. Van Vliet and Pope right there once again, but finally he gets on the board. Pick and pop here. Mullins just drains that shot, making it look easy. Lowry stepping back. A little bit of a misfire on that mid-range. Van Vliet goes inside to Wiseman. Brooklyn passing the ball around, but they're not going to get a shot that they like. Wiseman on the boards, though, and off the offensive rebound. A defensive lap leaves Saddiq Bey wide open. One of the two guys that's actually hurting us here in this game. Bey again shoots once more. This time it's off. Oh, dishes to Lowry. He's firing quickly and he drained it. Lowry does not need much time to get his shot off. The deep three from Bridges. Still put too much on it. Lowry in transition, quickly firing over the top of Fred Van Vliet. He was off the mark. Now here with another chance. This time he's going inside and getting that layup to go. Van Vliet to Bey. Powers right in his grill, forcing the miss. Here, Powers going to get rewarded for his first shot attempt of the game, and it's a made three, his first basket at the NBA level. And what I really like about it is that, typically when your first basket comes in the third quarter, you're not too excited about it because you think, maybe they've been missing. But no, that was his first attempt. He's been biding his time, waiting for his moment, just playing good defense, getting his teammates involved. And when his number's called, he comes through. And that's what I like to see from the rookie, not trying to do too much here in his debut. And Vliet, wide open. Didn't get a lot of those shots there in the first. Leading by 25 here, we're going to start to focus just on the makes for the rest of this game. We've truly come out here in the third quarter and put our stamp here on this game. And just showed that we are on a different tier than these Brooklyn Nets here this season. Now this team, from what I've seen today, I thought, there were maybe a couple blunders where there were shots I don't like, but for the most part, really liking what I'm seeing. Both ends of the floor. I think defensively, this is the best team we've ever fielded, and offensively as well. It's just, this is truly what I think is going to be a team, at least in contention for the finals. I wouldn't call ourselves the favorites by any means. Still have to prove that we could beat the Pistons, who still have, their big four that gave us so much trouble last season. But we're definitely a team to be feared here in the East this year. If what I've seen through the Summer League, which of course we live streamed prior to this episode, and then this initial episode has shown anything, we're putting this team away in 3 quarters. This fourth quarter, we don't even need to play it to know what's going to happen. We're going to have likely a 30 points lead here if we can get a 3. Instead, we're going to go inside, and it's going to be a 29 point lead here heading into the fourth, unless Brooklyn can score. And Saddiq Bey is going to do just that. But 100-74 after a 3. This game is already over. That's what I like about this team. There are a lot of teams out there across multiple sports. I'll name my Philadelphia Eagles this year as one, who just seem to play down to their competition, make every game tight, and they just can't put teams away. That is not this Nashville team. We love putting these games away early. And that's exactly what we're going to do here in Brooklyn. Saddiq Bey ends up with 24, 10, and 4. Bridges pours in 19. They had a few different guys reach double digits. Fred Van Vliet ended up with a pretty solid second half. But Lowry, 43, 8, and 8. to start the year. Mullins with a 20-point double-double. Hudson Porson 15. Pope with 14 points and 16 assists. Davidson put up double digits. And I just really like what I saw across the board from this team. Powers with 3, 1, and 2 in his debut. Not flashy by any means, but I like what I saw. Now to end off this episode, we're going to be going through our mentors here this year. We have 4, I think, really solid mentors, and so I'm excited to be able to hopefully help out some of our young guys. I think Malachi Pope is going to learn float game, free points. I want free points just because I feel like he misses free throws a lot when we watch games, so if we can get him free points, the badge, I'll take it all day. Spot finder as well. A triple strike could be replaced for float game, I think. He takes a decent amount of floaters, but he also just kind of pulls up and takes a jumper sometimes. So I don't know. There's a lot of good options here, which is, a good problem to have. And we can always edit the badge distribution later. Francis Mullins will be mentored by Draymond Green. He's going to be mentored for Masher, Post Playmaker, and Bulldozer. And Lamont Powers will be mentored by Klay Thompson, Catch and Shoot, Open Looks, and Clamps. Hoping him to become just a good 3-and-D player for us. And then lastly, we've got a mentor for, where is he? Ernest Augustine is going to be mentored by Nerlens Noel. Rise Up, Interceptor, and Box Out Beast will be the badges he's mentoring. One kind of tough cut here is Christian Davidson. You could also argue Andre Stevens is a tough cut too, but he's kind of already maxed out. Would have loved to been able to mentor Davidson, but we can't mentor everybody. And so it was kind of the final decision was, do we have McCollum mentor Pope or do we have him mentor Davidson? And ultimately I went with Pope. I think he's a more integral part to our future, so I want to help him get badges just a little bit more than I want to help Christian Davidson, although I'd love them both to just get a ton of badges. So that is all I've got for this episode starting season 5. Again, let me know what kind of pace you're feeling here for this season 5, and we'll start the simulation in the next episode. But that's all I've got for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We'll be back soon with more Nashville Sound soon. And until then, sound up.